Hello, PFL Nation. This is your boy, John Smith, here on this bright Tuesday for you guys. This good Tuesday night. Happy to have everybody tuning in. We have something brand new to the PFL starting this week. I'm very excited about it. It's going to be called the In the Booth podcast with my podcast partner, Mr. Austin Briley. Austin, say hello to the
What's good,
people.
everybody? How's it going?
Happy to have you, man. It's going to be a great
Glad to be here.
episode. Tonight we are going to be talking about Week 5 games. So we all know how Week 5 went. We got a lot to talk about. Austin and I both got our asses kicked during Week 5, so I'm sure both of those games are going to be high on the list. For everyone that's new to the pod, which of course will be everybody this first week, this is a...
That's what I get for talking about Caleb Williams like that, bro. God.
Bro, absolute jinx.
LSU, bro.
Bro,
LSU Tigers are the next big thing, everybody.
it's gonna
I'm
be
telling you, if they
brutal.
keep playing like this, it's gonna be creepy where they come from. But if there's an 8-team playoff, they will be there.
Yeah, and I mean they're
They're
on
gonna
a streak
Tiger
right
cross
now
slash
too.
everybody. That's what I'm
Uh-huh.
saying. Their Dada keeps getting better.
Bro, they're looking great. And like I'm saying, for everyone tuning in, this is going to be a casual, laid back, just a conversation between Austin and I. This is nothing too serious. We're just going to have a good time. So, no, there's going to be some language. There's going to be some exciting talk. It's going to be a good time. We're just excited to get this out for everybody and get underway. So, I mean, Austin, I'm ready to go if you are, man. Let's dive into the first game from last week, which was UCLA and Cincinnati. How do you feel about it?
I'm excited. Um, Well, that game was a game that I didn't actually catch a lot of, but I did see it when it was 10-10. Um, Looks like an overall balanced game from Maverick McCain. 23 for 32, 256 yards, so not a bad day passing the ball. Had a touchdown interception, so it levels him out at 0. You go over to his counterpart, Isaiah Johnson, 24 of 41, 217 yards. A little bit more of a stretch, but nothing too crazy. Then you get into the ratios over there, and that's where you see the touchdown to the 2 interceptions.
Yes,
So
sir.
if you're going to total it out, you'll have a total of at least one turnover to unbalance it. But the running game, I think, for both teams was fantastic. What do you think, John?
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you. You look at the QBs, and honestly, they were pretty closely matched outside of the extra turnover out of Isaiah. And the running game, I feel like, was really the difference maker. You're not going to see it huge on the stat sheet. Gaddy went for 21 attempts for 88 yards, and a tutty. And then Houston went for 19 attempts, 90 yards. But didn't get anything in the board, and ultimately that's the point I'm trying to make is Cincinnati just wasn't able to capitalize when their offense was moving. I feel like averaging 4.7 yards a carry is insane. You got to feed that ground game, especially when you're moving like that, and they were not able to really get the ball in the end zone. And when they got close, then that's when we started to see those turnovers out of Isaiah. So if I'm looking at that game, I'm thinking UCLA's feeling great after the donut they had the week before. And Cincinnati, I mean, AB, I'm kind of shocked at this 1-4 start out of them. How are you feeling about it?
I'm not at all. This is something that we kind of expected. Isaiah Johnson did say at the beginning of the year that he wanted to come in and take over a program completely, like individually,
Yep.
outside of a couple people, and so not really built off of anything too spectacular. Cincinnati's never really been too great of a team up until about this last year or so, and that kind of was debatable. And so having a Heisman winner there last year ends up leaving, heads to another school, does his work there. So Cincinnati's not really a shocker to me. I think Cincinnati's going to continue to fall as the season progresses.
Hey, that's a bold prediction. You do so. I just want to get it on record here on the In the Booth pod. You do not predict Cincinnati to be a playoff team.
I do not predict Cincinnati to be a playoff team, but
You heard it
crazy
here
things have happened
first.
in the PFL.
You heard it here
Yeah.
first, folks. And you know what? Honestly, AB, I gotta agree with you. If you would have came to me in week 1, week 2, I probably would have been like, listen, they're gonna get it together. They're gonna be all right. Isaiah's gonna do his thing. But after
Now, what
5 weeks,
I do know one thing.
go
I
ahead.
know that next year Cincinnati is potentially a building school, and so a lot of these guys that want to play together but don't necessarily have a way of playing together right now with the way spots on teams are planning on going to Cincinnati. I've
Yeah.
even thought about it, but I got people like Nas potentially following me. He's already
Yep.
talked to me about that. I got connections with JPick. I got all those different guys and stuff like that, and so pay attention for Cincinnati to next year potentially be a playoff team.
Yeah.
Especially with a lot of these guys that are going to be new coming in. There's not going to be a lot of spots really open. Cincinnati's going to be a very hot seat place to go, and Cincinnati might become the next Miami. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean that's definitely a possibility, and you see that a lot where these teams have these bounce back years where it looks like they're going to be a completely different squad, and I feel like Cincinnati falls right into that category. So I think you are correct. As far as that game, as far as their game against UCLA, I feel like it kind of really was UCLA's game to go out there and win, and they took it by the horns and got it done. So I feel like that was huge for them. I'm sure McCain and the rest of that squad feel really good about the way that offense performed. And overall, I feel like that game just kind of went how people were thinking it would when you looked at the game previews.
Yeah, exactly.
Moving
On to
on.
the next one.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Alabama, Notre Dame. Alabama comes out on the last second like set of plays or the last drive, whatever you want to call it, and absolutely delivers a crushing turnaround back shoulder catch. To take a last second lead over Notre Dame, giving them a 20-19 win over the Fighting Irish. Carson Young with 2 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. So, like I said, flattening out that ratio at 0. But Christian Ross with a touchdown and interception, flattening that ratio out too. And so, an overall balanced day. Great day passing the ball otherwise for Carson Young, 24 for 29, 253 yards. And so, but not a bad day passing the ball either for Christian Ross, 25 35, 215. And so, like I said, you got those totals coming in. Here's something we don't normally see. On Notre Dame, 2 of the other prime, like top players, are cornerbacks. Both having an interception, Ethan Nation and Princeton Butler. A bunch of tackles overall and assists. What do you think about all that?
Yeah, man. I mean, I called this game, and I can tell you what, I was extremely excited the whole time. We saw great defensive battles. We saw some great offensive drives when they were needed. And I couldn't believe when Carson fit that ball in on that last drive for Bama to take the lead and go up 20-19. There were 4 Notre Dame guys all around, and he still snuck that ball in that very tight window, just showing that he really wanted to step up and be that number 1 seed to actually win the game instead of falling off the chopping block. You know, Bama's really proven themselves out here. They're definitely up there with my teams to watch for going into week 6 because, again, the number 1 team is must-watch PFL television, and I feel like it's going to repeat itself. Notre Dame hung out the whole game. They looked really good defensively. I mean, you brought it up. Nation and Butler both went crazy. Prince of Picks out here gets another one. So they looked really good, and I thought they were going to pull it off. But it's just, one drive makes all the difference, and we saw that in that game. That is the definition of one drive makes all the difference, man. But it was super exciting to call. And I don't think this is the last we're going to see in Notre Dame. All 3 of their losses, I'm pretty sure, have been by 1 possession or less. This is a team that fights, that's nitty-gritty, and it's just barely not getting over the hump. Austin, if you had to think of one thing for Notre Dame that could get them over that hump, what would it be? Do you think they need to see more out of Christian Ross? Do you think they need to see more out of their wide receivers? What are you thinking?
I think I need to shimmy myself on in there. That's what I think. But come on, bro. You got Jay Pickens. He's got 1 drop on the entire
Yep.
year. How you about to do a team like that? You
I
got
know.
Precious Hall back there. Like,
I know.
no. Then you got brothers over here for Alabama getting it done. You
Yep.
got both of the Rochets doing their thing. Like, come on, bro. You're supposed to be brothers like through and through, not like not here, not there, and just like showing up whenever. That's what I'm saying, bro. And if I can get in there, I'm excited to get in there with those guys because we could be a very dedicated squad. I know we're all super, super active, and so that could be something really, really cool.
Yeah, man, absolutely. That would be awesome to see. I mean, it really does feel like Notre Dame is one missing piece away from, a 2-3 record turning into a 4-1 record, just like Bama is right now. And they're showing that, so I hope those guys don't get discouraged. I expect to continue to see either really close games or honestly victories out of them. I do think Notre Dame will end up being a playoff team. I think they are definitely capable of doing so, and I can definitely see them finishing in those top spots. What about you? You look at these 2 teams. Bama to me is a lock, but do you feel like Notre Dame's going to sneak into the playoffs?
I'm gonna be a little bit bolder than that. I'm gonna say Alabama's not a lock. I think there's a chance
Ooh.
that Alabama falls down potentially, and Notre Dame
Ooh.
continues on. Notre Dame's getting their strength of schedule out of the way, like
Yep.
first couple weeks. Alabama, I'd like to say at this point, just even with how Utah's playing, the most talented team that they've beaten so far is us.
Yep.
And so we'll have to see how that goes because Miami's on a roll still. They Georgia's Georgia's gonna be somewhere around there if they do make it to the playoffs, and Georgia's gonna put up a contest.
Yep.
Florida State's right now gonna do whatever they want to anybody. Ole Miss can turn it around. Texas had one bad week. Michigan had one bad week, and Dada's getting fucking better.
Yep. Yeah, man. I mean, it is close. That is again, bro. You're back to back with the bold predictions. I'll tell you. You can tell already our opposite personalities when it comes to football analysis. Because I'm very conservative. I'm very go with the look at the stats and go with the flow. You're out here making these bold predictions. And I love to see it, man. It's going to be real exciting to see how the rest of the season shapes up. But we got to move on
On
to
to John's least favorite part of the
Yep.
podcast.
Unfortunately, I will lead this. I will take the L, just like I expect you to do shortly after. So, USC played FSU. FSU absolutely dominated us. I paid those guys their flowers as they well deserved. Not only offensively, where Mays had a 115 passer rating, 24 30,
Touchdowns. I mean, not no
265
touchdowns,
yards,
no interceptions.
a touchdown with no interceptions. Like they were doing everything they wanted with the ball when they had it. And the part I really want to talk about, which obviously makes me look bad, is their run defense, Austin. I mean, I was out there, right? I was the one taking them hits. It was insane, man. For anyone who didn't know, the week before, I went for 149 yards and was absolutely coasting. I go into this game feeling really confident. It's very clear that FSU game planned to shut down that run, and on 15
It
attempts,
always works.
I only had 29 yards. I did get in the end zone, and I did have 49 receiving yards, but I'll tell you what, that FSU
Hey, but you
defense,
only had
man.
15 attempts, also.
Yeah, I mean that
That's
FSU
a.
defense was insane. They were damn good. That's
And to
all I
be
have to
honest,
say.
Sean Landry wasn't doing much.
Yep.
Sean Landry didn't even make it onto the leaderboard, but
Nope.
Eric Glover did.
Yeah,
Eric
Glover had a
Glover was
great game.
cooking.
That's
Yep.
FSU's tight end. For those that don't know, he had 9 catches for 83 yards, 38 yards after catch, which is crazy. Just absolutely monstered it up. And on our side, I will give Dallas some props. He did well. He had 5 solo tackles, 7 assisted tackles, and 2 TFLs. So he did fine. He definitely wasn't the reason for our defense not able to stop the ball. But it's just I gotta put the blame on myself and Caleb. Caleb went out there, had a 53 passer rating, 21 of 44 with 219 yards and a pick, no touchdowns. We just could not get anything going. Man, it was a huge disappointment. That's really all I have to say about that game. I give FSU their credit, and all I can say is I'm really hoping to bounce back this week. AB, what were your takeaways? I mean, you were on the call, so what were your takeaways from this one?
I don't really think there's a lot to take away from it other than just Jerry Mays had a good game and USC didn't.
Yeah, I mean you're not wrong. I mean that's a good summary. As someone that was sad the whole time, that's basically exactly how I was feeling. So I'm gonna go ahead and say maybe we're done with that. We're gonna go ahead and say we're done with that, and we're gonna let you lead the next game, which is your least favorite part of the episode. So we'll let you take over for a minute.
What in the hell? What in the actual hell, bro? We would have had 20 points if somebody. Oh my god. Okay, so here's what happens, right? We're playing Ole Miss. Ole Miss is a talented team. I don't care what any of y'all say about how they're doing right now. They're a talented team. In the process of us being down in that comeback win, that same dude, the same dude, kicked a 53-yard field goal
Mhm.
and was perfect on his extra points. Bro comes into this week, misses a 40-yard field goal, which is whatever. Lines up at the 15-yard line. Shanks it. I come out here throwing like I got vertigo to literally anybody. Like anybody. I'm serious. Like count them all as completions because like I said, and like I always say, I was throwing dots to the defense too.
Did you know what team you were on out there? Were you just, having a little
Something
aneurysm
happens
on the
when
field?
teams,
What's going on?
bro. It's just that's why you don't wear black uniforms at Autzen. That's a real thing. They don't do that anymore since Mariota because it gets too hot now.
Makes sense.
Oh my gosh. So, anyways, Tamar had a good game.
Tamar did have a good game. Tamar is excellent for
And I
Oregon.
love Wade now, apparently.
Yep, he's feeding them.
But Dada Fisher.
Went crazy.
I had a 48 rating, bro. That's phenomenal.
Yeah, you were basically not in the game. Dada definitely was with the 133 passer rating, 24
It's
34.
crazy too because on Friday I was feeling like actually hella sick,
Yeah.
and then we come around on that game and I was throwing like I had like the worst case of the spins. I
Yeah,
partied on Thursday night, bro.
party too hard. I do want to finish giving Dada his flowers. He also had 353 yards and 3 touchdowns. I'm sorry, Austin.
Dada looking like Joe Burr.
He was going crazy. I want to spend a good chunk of time here, a few minutes at least, talking about LSU and this streak they're on right now. These back-to-back wins after starting out 0-3. And these aren't just like some nothing, barely got there fluke games. I mean, these are some big wins. And this one against you guys was a statement to me. The LSU saying, listen, we're here, we're climbing, look for us, watch for us, because the Tigers are about to make a big, big splash in the PFL. Is that how you take this game? Like, I'm going to ask you, do you feel like this is more on you and you got to shoulder this responsibility? Or do you feel like this LSU team is the truth and they're about to make a huge, huge run here for the rest of this season?
I think both. I think this is the worst game we've played, but I think this is the worst game we're gonna play. Um, I made some playbook changes that I probably shouldn't have, or at least shouldn't have with the throwing animation that I had.
Sure.
And so, but yes, I do think LSU is going to start putting their foot down here. The upgrades and the sliders are where they need to be for Dada, and playbooks are now being discovered, and so we're going back to our winning playbooks, and they found theirs, and Utah's going to go back to theirs, and so there's going to be a lot of teams that are going to put their foot back down, and it's just a matter of finding it. When you do find it, which they have, these things happen. Back-to-back weeks with no interceptions and 3 touchdowns apiece, and so I mean, you can't blame the kid for doing what he could.
Yep. Yep, I agree with you. I think LSU is definitely on a tear right now, and I think it showcases because you don't beat a team like Oregon with that kind of score line unless you know what's going on and you're the real deal. So with that, we'll move on to the other game you mentioned before we dove into that one. Their kicker, honestly, being the Shaqtin' a Fool player of the game, if you guys know that reference, but missing a 15-yarder, absolutely tanking the momentum of the game, giving Georgia lifeblood. I am, of course, talking about Friday night's Georgia versus Ole Miss, where Georgia was able to squeeze out the win 16-13 after an insane drive by KJ and probably the best catch I've seen in the PFL out of Kyson Carter. Man, oh man, was that grab insane. But yeah,
Of
let's.
course, it was Kyson Carter.
Of course, the legend himself. So
Here's the thing: both of these teams right now should realistically, with how they play, and I know we're one of those teams that they lost to, both of them.
yep.
But both of these teams should be undefeated coming into this game. They've played like it. They've gotten the raw end of the stick. But both of these teams overall, aside from this game, and I say both of them on this game because neither one of them got to their full potential in this game. I think this is the worst that we're going to see these two play. And so I think, like I said, these guys should both be undefeated coming into this game. I do think Georgia walks away with it because Georgia's the more talented team.
Yep.
And KJ's doing a lot better this year than we thought he was going to be. And the Heisman guys over there doing his thing. And you got Kyson Carter and Chris Elko doing their things over there too. So it's like,
Yep.
it's not super special.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think both these teams are insanely talented. I mean, I talked about it a lot on the call. I think Ole Miss probably has the number one defense in the league, and I'm confident in saying that with the talent they have in that secondary. And I wasn't surprised at this result. I thought it was going to be a defensive slugfest. I love defensive football, so I was loving being there in the rain, and you really saw that out of both teams. They felt hungry, and you see the talent in this squad, this Ole Miss squad, and you're like, well, this 2-3 record really doesn't do them justice. And you know what? Full credit to Georgia, especially that last drive. KJ absolutely went crazy, flicked on the clutch switch, and just feasted. And they really got it done in the second half. They really, went into halftime, made some big adjustments, and it's not easy to score against this Ole Miss defense. So you have to give Georgia credit. You have to also give Georgia their defense credit for holding Ole Miss to only 13. KC and Deuce are a good 1-2 punch, a great 1-2 punch, and Georgia still managed to only hold them to 13 points. So Georgia's the real deal, man. I think this is a true top 5 team. We talk about it a lot, how those top 5 rankings are sometimes a little fake, a little scary. And I don't feel that way about Georgia at all.
The way I think I ultimately feel about Georgia is Georgia's the team that every quarterback now wishes they could play for.
Right.
But they're so happy for the quarterback that is there.
Exactly.
I'm happy for him.
Exactly. So I mean, it was a great game, and a great way to end our Friday night. But now we got to move on to Saturday's games.
The Barrett 50 cal. Entire thing. Boom, boom. Sound of my heart goes bam, to bam.
So I mean, let's talk about the slaughter, right? Let's get that out of the way, just because that way we get to end on the game that was way more exciting. But Miami came out and delivered a hammer onto Michigan, coming out 31-3. Absolute feast out of Miami. Michigan had nothing going on, and the most important stat that I'm sure you would mention as well, Numa only having 36 rushing yards. AB, that is insane. I want to give massive credit to Miami and their defensive front for shutting that man down, because I think Caden is a freak, as you know. So that's my biggest takeaway from this game. There isn't a whole lot to talk about, in my opinion, because of that score line. But what's your biggest takeaway from what we saw out of that Miami-Michigan matchup?
I'm sensitive to Michigan because I like to play as if, since I'm probably only going to do the 2 or 3 years here anyways.
Yep.
With the way my players are already playing, yeah, I get the interceptions under control, but at that point, it's crazy, bro, what could happen. I think I'm definitely going to be one of those X factors. But I like to play as if my RFL career bled into this. And so I think about playing at Michigan and watching AZ play. And it's just like, well, we played Miami in the RFL, and the RFL Miami was like insane, if you know about the RFL Miami,
Yep.
John.
Yep.
So we lost 6-10. We injured Hodge, and Hodge came in at the last second and got a score, and that was it. You come out here and you lose 31-3 at home. No, not home. Away. Okay, so it's not that bad. And in Miami's defense, they did have them green Demon Time jerseys on.
They did have the Demon Time jerseys.
They were in the swamp, bro.
They were, bro.
They came out full Shrek.
Bro, they were. They were on their full Shrek shit. I mean, they said,
"What are you doing in my swamp, bro?" Delivered the funniest beatdown I've ever seen.
Bro, it was
Shout
wild.
Out to Patrick Swayze, though.
Yeah, PS3 going crazy. Huge bounce back game for them after losing, and losing their number one spot. Massive bounce back game for them. We've talked about it a lot. I want to make sure before we move on to our last game. You got any bold predictions for Miami? I think Miami looks great. I think Miami's, to me, they're a lock, just like Bama. Do you feel like it's a lock? How do you feel?
think I'm just gonna leave Miami alone.
That's fair.
I
No,
don't really
no two
know
ways
what
about it.
Miami's gonna do. Yeah,
Yeah,
because Miami's talented, but I don't really know how talented. So
yeah,
I need to watch more Miami.
that's fair. That's fair.
Next week, I could probably give you a much better idea of that, especially with how the schedule will go this week.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, that's it. I mean, that's all I have for that game. Like I said, there's not a whole lot to talk about. So we move on to our last game of week 5. Austin, I'll let you walk the crowd through this one. What happened in this game?
So this game is interesting because it took Utah a while to get going, and it took Texas a while to get going. But what didn't end up happening was Lamar Anderson kept it and just giving it to whoever, like for no real reason. And so there was even a chance at the end to clutch up and tie the game, and
Yep.
it still just was an interception. So I can't really speak on that. It's just like we got to turn these interception sliders down.
Yep.
But
For those who don't know,
interception, just
Austin,
not.
how many picks did LA throw against Utah?
I think the actual accurate number is 4, but I want to say 5.
It was 5. It was 5.
5, bro. Nice.
5 takeaways for LA. And
That's a chestnut roasting on an open fire.
uh-huh. And I mean, LA has a fantastic passer rating before this game. He has been very efficient with the ball. He has found the right spots to put it.
Here's the thing also. You can look at the strength of the team. Utah's struggling, but they're
Yeah,
not bad still. The
agreed.
teams that they've lost to are phenomenal teams, like I
Agreed.
said, in their own right. And so I think Utah got their defense together. They didn't get their offense together yet, but they got their defense together.
Yep.
Their offense is going back to their initial playbooks that they started the year with, so they'll be a much more dominant team again.
Yep. And
So this
they
isn't
got to get
really
back on the block for Bo train, my man.
if you're gonna come out and throw 5 interceptions, make it against Bama, Notre Dame,
Yep.
Miami, or Utah,
Yep.
or even Georgia.
I agree. I don't think there's a whole lot to read into in this one. I'm with you. Utah's a great team.
Come out here against Tayshaun Wiggins and
Right.
K5 and those guys,
Right.
and the Roche brothers, and
You'll
throw 5
see.
picks,
Uh-huh.
and that's fine. You come out here like I did against LSU, or you come out here against Cincinnati and do that, there's a problem. But that's already been taken care of.
Right. It's a matter of understanding the competition. So I don't want LA to get discouraged. I think he has had himself a great year, and I think we will see a big bounce back from him in week 6. Which is actually going to lead into our last segment of the night, AB, which is going to be our what to watch for week 6. And you see how good I am with transitions. I'm going to lead off and say my main watch for this week is going to be LA, seeing how he bounces back, seeing if he actually does get benched. I don't think he will. I think Tyon's just joking. But I really want to see how he bounces back this week. I'd love to see a huge
Arch
performance
Manning.
out of him.
This is how Arch Manning is gonna get into the website. It's gonna go just like this. Somebody's gonna throw 5 picks.
5 picks. So that's
cemented it in history.
that's my player to watch this week. That's the game I can't wait for, is the Texas matchup. Who is your player or team to watch? What are you looking for here in week 6?
I think I'm gonna be biased when I say this, but I think us, because again, you just never know what I'm gonna do.
Yep.
Like, I'm working on some things. Like, I sent my player to therapy, and so some traits have been situated now. But you just don't. Yeah, you don't know what the heck I'm gonna do.
Yep.
And so it's like we come out here and we beat Georgia, we beat Ole Miss, we almost beat Alabama, we get killed by Louisiana. Are we gonna come out here and get curb stomped by the Bruins? Probably. But is it gonna be funny as hell? Yeah. Because
Well, if you
I
get
got an
curb
IQ of
stopped,
14, bro.
if you get curb stopped on Monday, I'm gonna be calling you and laughing. For everyone tuning in, like I said at the start of the pod, this is a Tuesday night pod, but we do record this Sunday night. So by the time you're listening to this, we'll see the results of that Oregon game, as that is our Monday night game. And I can't wait. I'm excited for honestly, I can't already wait for next episode because I'm sure this is gonna take up a decent chunk of the episode. Seeing how Oregon handles their bounce back after LSU. So that's it, Austin. You got Oregon as the team to watch this week. That's the matchup we can't wait for to see the results of.
Either that or Notre Dame. I
Yep.
want to see how Christian Ross responds to that, especially with where he's sitting right now in regards to like if he's going to be allowed to be there and all those other different things. I want to see if he's going to come out here and put like a little bit more of a press on Zeke to not necessarily make that move. Just because I'm very heavily interested in what happens with him, obviously, for like I said, my own reasons.
Yeah.
And so,
Absolutely.
but
Yeah.
Carson Young, I think, also is going to continue to do his thing, and Dada is going to keep doing his thing.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. I mean,
We'll
I
wait to see
think
you get back
honestly,
on track.
yeah, no kidding, right? I think we're in for a lot of really good storylines this week. I will say personally, I'm hoping to have a big bounce back myself. So there's a lot of big names out there that are going to be looking for bounce back games, and there's a lot of big names out there that are just going to keep trying to do what they've been doing. So I can't wait to see how Week 6 of the PFL shapes up. And with that, AB, that's the very first episode of the In the Booth podcast. Again, we want to thank everybody for tuning in,
That was
take,
fun.
taking your time out of your Tuesday to hear a couple of friends just talk some shit to each other about this great league we're all a part of. So, AB, if you have any parting words, I'll let you get the last word in, and then I'll be jumping off.
Hey, shout out to everybody that comes and watches this. Hope y'all enjoyed it. I thought this was a lot of fun. So shout out to you, John. I think we're all in for a treat with how this continues. We'll get some of y'all on here at some point, and
Yep.
we'll just keep on rolling. But shout out to you, PFL community, and we'll catch you later.